brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Looks like futures are up this morning. Dow futures gaining 75. NASDAQ futures are plus 118. S&P futures, they're up 22. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a crash on Old Hickory Boulevard at Nolensville Pike this morning. Another one that is blocking an off-ramp this morning. It's at Briley Parkway northbound, and the exit ramp is 24. Almaville, 840 westbound past Almaville Road, exit 47, and the crash there blocks the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Talk. 7:05, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to your Wednesday, February 26th. Hope you're doing well. It is Wilson Wednesdays. I love every Wednesday when I get to talk to my friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Dan. It's good to be with you.
So we hear the Daily Dan poll. Of course, you know we do that every day. Our poll today, watch us and like us over there. Follow the page on YouTube, and you can watch us there. And we do the Daily Dan poll every day. How would you grade Donald Trump's first 5 weeks?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because that's exactly what I wanted to talk about here this morning.
Well, good. Go ahead.
I'm ready. First of all, amazing. Just across the board, let me give you the big picture. In all the years that I covered Washington, and I've been watching Washington, and I've been following politics, I've never seen so much accomplishment in such a little space of time. I mean, the border, already better. The cabinet, and including some that we thought might not get through, got through. It's largely in place, and that is a huge victory, because he's got his people in place to keep doing the things that he wants to do, which is sort of upset the apple cart, which I'm not opposed to at all. There is this elegant solution in the works right now to solve the problem between Russia and Ukraine that actually benefits the United States. When you look at what he's trying to do with the minerals, it is a huge thing, because we desperately need to have access to those kinds of minerals to go forward, because that's one place where China has a huge strategic advantage over us. They have a lot of those minerals, and we don't have as many as they have.
Right, it's $500 billion. You're talking about minerals. You're talking about ports as well. And Zelensky, I've been covering this, Zelensky has been pitching a fit about all of this, the meetings with Vladimir Putin, he's not at the table, and all of that. And now it sounds like, I don't know if he's actually signed it, but
apparently
last night...
he's coming on Friday, to the White House to sign it. So we'll see how that all works out.
$500 billion. That is a big deal.
Huge deal. Then last night, the House of Representatives passed his big, beautiful bill. It was close, but he got it through. It was always thought that the big, beautiful bill would have its most difficult opportunities, face most difficulty in the House of Representatives.
Yep.
And they got it through. It was up and down all night, but they apparently pushed it through and got it across the goal line. The Senate now will take that up, and it looks like, once you get through the House, the Senate was thought to be the easier lift, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But I am most wildly crazy about what Elon Musk is doing. I mean, he's getting a lot of criticism, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. The Democrats have to find a boogeyman, and they're going to come after Elon Musk, and they're going to try to, vilify him. But I love the fact that Elon Musk, through the power given to him by the President of the United States, and the President of the United States gets his power from us. Mm-hmm. So because of that lineage, he's able to go in there and ask something that I don't understand why this hasn't been done on a regular basis. Who are you and what do you do here for the federal government?
What exactly is it you do here, and how long have you been here? And what did you get done, by the way?
What's wrong with that idea? Well, I mean, making people have to, stand up and explain what it is they do, and if they aren't doing very much, then let's cull them from the herd. Let's make sure that we get people in there who are actually doing work. Not all federal workers are bad people, but there is, I think, an element within the federal government of people who play the system, who play the game, and know how to manipulate things, and apparently there's a tremendous amount of waste, fraud, and abuse, and there apparently are. Look to me, I'll be interested to find out more about this, about the so-called zombie government employees.
It is
put a little
interesting.
device on their computer that makes it look like they're working, but they're not.
It's interesting because I agree with you on all of that. The only criticism that I might have, and I did mention this at the end of the last hour, is that it didn't seem like the agency heads like Kash Patel and Kristi Noem, they weren't in on the fact that he was going to send this email. And so not everybody was on the same page, and it did take a couple of days for everybody to get on
the same page. But what it took was Donald Trump saying,
"Yep,
he's acting on my behest." Well, and I love what he's doing, and and the authority that he has comes from me, and I'm glad that everybody's. Is it a little sloppy now and then? Yeah, but when you're trying to do big things in a hurry, and you've got to do things in a hurry, then there's going to be a little sloppiness. But at the end of the day, when you look at the progress that's been made compared to the things that have been a little off kilter or maybe a little sloppy. We're winning so big. It's driving the Democrats absolutely guano crazy.
Well, you're right, and the last thing I'll say about that is let's also not forget that Elon Musk is the guy who tried to send a rocket up and it exploded, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, this is a big deal, a big setback for Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is like, we knew it was going to explode. We're learning from our failures, and that is so incredibly important. You're talking, Brian, about how the left is going crazy about Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the success that they're having. I want to play you this audio from none other than Jasmine Crockett, and she had a message for Elon.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off.
That's it.
So it just seems like all decorum has gone out the window.
There exists no decorum in Washington right now, and I don't know that it's ever going to come back. It's just raw, naked politics, each side trying to take advantage of the other, and it's just going to be bare-knuckled politics for a while.
Brian Wilson joining us, and yeah, part of what I said earlier when this came down, a lot of people saying, "Oh, she's got no decorum," this, that, and the other. Donald Trump routinely curses up on stage. I don't know about Elon Musk, but I know that Donald Trump has and does and will continue. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, oh, my God, pearl clutching and all that with Jasmine Crockett. This is who she is, and Trump has been known to throw down as well. So that's all fine.
He has an affinity for my favorite word. I mean,
yes,
he drops
does.
that one now and then.
Yes, he does.
But I think there's a level. I mean, I am of the opinion, and this is an opinion that I've held for some time, that, you know, when you use this word or maybe this word, or on occasion you have to say it's this. Yes, I have the buttons.
You sure do.
Want to use them, but when you say those words, I don't see that at the same level as dropping an F-bomb.
Well, and here's the other difference, Brian. The other difference is you've got Jasmine Crockett telling someone to F off versus Donald Trump, who will just say it's BS or it's horse S. He's not calling anyone a name. I'm sure that he has, behind the scenes, but I don't know if he's ever actually thrown down that kind of language against some of his arch enemies, like a Chuck Schumer or a
certainly
Mitch McConnell.
not in public. You're right.
No, that's exactly right. So there is a difference. You're right. There is a difference between.
See, I think we ought to be able to use the BS and the HS and the CS. I think we should be. I think that ought to be in our vocabulary.
Sure.
I think we should be allowed to say it because, there's no better word in the world than to describe something as total you-know-what.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
And research proves that it is actually better for your health if you throw it out every once in a while.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I wish we could have that one in our vocabulary, but, the FCC has not changed its mind about that.
The pesky FCC, which, by the way, did you see, and this is not a well-covered story, so I don't know if you know about it, but the FCC is now looking into George Soros and his impact on local radio because, he bought those radio stations in Florida. He bought Odyssey as well. And so, of course, the worry is that he's going to have an impact on, these radio stations if you have any conservatives.
Go ahead and try that. I have never seen liberal talk radio ever get off the ground. They've tried it time and time again, and it doesn't go anywhere. And I don't know. I'm surprised by that. There ought to be a way to do that, but it's just not where the American people are. The American people are much more aligned with the things that we say. Center right. Roger Ailes said many years ago that, he was putting together Fox News for a center right audience because that's where America largely is.
Yeah.
And, talk radio on the liberal side of the equation, it's been tried, and every time it's been tried, it just doesn't seem to catch.
Well, and they can try to shut down conservative talk show hosts in one company, which, by the way, Odyssey, they're not a big talk radio company anyway.
No, they're not, no.
But for me, the Democrats and the left, they've got a lot bigger problems than talk radio because, you've got now the podcasters, the biggest podcasters out there are the ones like a Joe Rogan, who is not necessarily affiliated as a Republican or conservative, but because he's a free thinker and he asks a lot of questions and he's inquisitive, that's, Brian, where he falls.
I agree. And I'm very excited about the moves that are underway in Washington to take federal funding away from NPR and PBS. Oh, couldn't be more excited about that. Isn't that about time?
It's about darn time. Okay, Brian, I want to ask you about the changes in the White House press briefing room.
Right.
We're going to talk about that straight ahead. It is 7:16. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Highway, we've got a crash and Tusculum Old Hickory Boulevard, an accident at Nolensville Pike in front of Waffle House. I'm Christy O'Brien. 7:16,
Nashville's Morning News on WTN. As far as your weather today, 72 degrees, partly cloudy, and 42 degrees at Super Talk 99.7. All right, Brian. So yesterday, Caroline Leavitt, the White House, announcing that the White House Correspondents Association would no longer be allowed to decide which outlets are included in the White House press pool, the group of reporters who fly on Air Force One and cover the president in tight spaces, such as the Oval Office. But she did say that as far as the White House press briefing room and some of these other things, there will still be full access. It just seems like they're rotating in some new outlets.
Yeah.
What do you think about all this?
Well, I probably know a lot more about this than you would care to hear because I was actively involved in some of those processes when I was in Washington.
Yep.
There are two correspondence associations. Well, there's a bunch of them actually, but there's a bunch of them on Capitol Hill. You got your broadcast, you got your print, you got your magazine, you got your the still photographers. All are one pool over on Capitol Hill. And you have to have a credential there. And then at the White House, same thing. It's the White House Correspondents Association, which largely, sets the policy about who's going to go in and who's going to be a part of the pool, et cetera, and has always established that reputation. It was set up that way years ago because it was thought, that, well, the government doesn't want to get into the business of trying to decide who's a journalist and who's not. And so they set up these organizations. Look, the White House sets the rules. It's their candy store. Capitol Hill sets their rules, and it's their candy store. But they have these they're organizations that are designed to work with the government in order to facilitate coverage. Okay, so all of that to say that it's always been handled by the correspondence associations, so that politics didn't get involved in it. Well, politics is getting involved in it, and I'm not sure it's a tremendously good thing. I do think it's a good idea for the administration to call out when somebody has misreported or misrepresented things that the administration is doing. That is well within the boundaries of what a White House press secretary should do. I have a little queasiness about having the White House say, you're a journalist and you're a journalist and you're not a journalist, or we like you and we like you, but we're going to punish you because we didn't like that story you ran.
Right.
That's always part of the game. I mean, even when I was a police reporter in Amarillo, Texas, you have to run the calculation as a journalist in your head. And here's the calculation. I've got this story. It's going to hack off some people, but it's an important story. If I do this story, I'm not going to get any information from the police department for the next year or two. I'm going to be punished for it. Is the story worth the punishment? And it's a calculation you run in. I'm sorry, but journalists do run that in their head all the time. Yeah. I've had stories that I said, well, we just got to let the chips fall where they may. This is too important. And I've also had stories that I thought were on the bubble, and I actually took a pass on them because I didn't want to lose my ability to and give an advantage to my competitors.
Yeah.
So, it is a calculation that you have to run. AP ran a story, and the White House didn't like it, and largely in the past that would have been okay. Well, they didn't like the story, and they countered it. But now the Associated Press is being told you can't go into the pool situations, which are these smaller gaggles with the president and other executive officials. So I'm a little queasy about that, but you know what? We got to think outside the box, and they're thinking outside the box on everything. And if you want to go after the administration, you may have to pay a price. But that's always sort of been the way it is in the news business.
Yep, and the news business is absolutely changing. All right, so from what I understand, Brian, all the paperwork has been filled out, and we're not going to have any green M&Ms in the candy bowl, and you have agreed to join us on March 4th.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I mentioned online on my social media platforms, I said my dog, Grogu, is getting just a little tired of hearing my rants. So it'll be glad to get on the air and say a few things, and I'm looking forward to being with you guys at the Nashville Palace on the 4th.
Well, listen, obviously, folks miss you, and Matt's doing a great job in afternoons. But I'm going to be there March 4th, Nashville Palace. Me, Chad, Chris, Matt, Brian Wilson now. Really looking forward to this. And so if you want to come, we do still have some tickets available. Find them online, 997WTN.com. Brian, what else you thinking as far as I've got like 45 seconds left. Is there anything else you want to get off your mind so Grogu doesn't have to sit there and listen to you all day?
No, except that I'm really excited that we got through the House with that big, beautiful bill last night. It was close. It was tight. And that is, you've got a limited window. You've got to get certain things accomplished in a very short window of time when you come in. Trump learned that lesson in his first round, and he was ready on day one to come in and start knocking down doors and getting after it. Because at about 6 months in, everything becomes increasingly more political, and as you start looking toward Well, in just a year and a half now, we're going to have another election.
Yeah.
And everybody starts to, get political, but you can accomplish things quickly. You can get a lot done. If you drag it out, the other side will find a way to stop you over time. So they will slow you down. So you take advantage of your popularity. You go in with all guns blazing. You get as much done as you can. And then, you continue to push. But largely, I got to tell you, if you can't get it done in the first 6 months of a 4-year term, it's going to be exponentially more difficult to get other things passed.
Well, then we're going to have to see what happens in the midterm elections in the House, because we all know what happens in the midterm elections.
Yeah, that's right. Take advantage of we have this rare alignment.
Yep.
And we've got to take advantage of it. And the faster we do that, the better off we're going to be. The problem with doing things fast is sometimes, as you have mentioned, it's sloppy.
Yep.
But you know what? Push through. And learn from your mistakes. Get as much done as you can in that first 6 months, even if, it's not all perfect and done the way Washington wants you to do it all the time. Get it done, and they are getting it done.
All right. Congressman Scott DeJarlais will be joining us at 7:35 to talk about what happened last night. Brian, as always, great to have you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll see you on the 4th.
Absolutely.
All right, 7:24. Joan Jones has the news at 7:30. And Joan, what's up?
Yeah, a former Nashville healthcare executive has been named as the acting head of DOGE. And President Trump proposes a new way to buy into U.S. citizenship. Those stories and more at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 7:24. Dan Mandis here. Make 2025 the year that you get active again. Now, if you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been a client for over 10 years. I have never felt better. Now, I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago. I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. It really did help me a lot. Every once in a while, I need to go in for a tune-up. Dr. Mitch fixes me right up, and he can fix you as well. Right now, a great deal for listeners to WTN. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States. 47% off spinal decompression. Now, they utilize the latest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective, non-surgical solutions. Don't forget the Big 47 offer, 47% off spinal decompression. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
Brian.
7:27, Nashville's Morning News. Congressman Scott DeJarlais joining us at 7:35 to talk about last night's vote. Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. you are going to save both time and make the most money. Dan Mandis here. Now, with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can skip the hassle of getting your home ready to sell, receive an all-cash offer, and close in as little as 21 days. There's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Now, their client, Jerry, said we needed to move quickly, and we were worried the process would be lengthy and we'd spend a lot of money on repairs. He says Mark Spain Real Estate got us an offer in just 3 days, and it was over the asking price. Jerry says it was amazing. Now, selling your home is a big decision. Who you work with matters. As the most experienced real estate team in the industry, you can trust my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There is no obligation. 855-299-SOLD. 855-299-SOLD. You can always find them online anytime. MarkSpain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
Good morning, 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Stick around for traffic and weather right after the news. We finally learned the identity of the acting administrator of DOGE. It's not Elon Musk. It's Amy Gleason, a former chief product officer for two healthcare startups here in Nashville. Before that, during the first Trump administration, she worked at the United States Digital Service. That service was renamed to DOGE in January. After the White House named her yesterday as the acting administrator, more than 20 members of the former digital service resigned with a letter criticizing Elon Musk. The 19-year-old wanted in the shooting of a 4-year-old over the weekend has now been arrested. U.S. Marshals tracked down Talik Galashaw King in Murfreesboro. He's being held on a $60,000 bond. The 4-year-old is expected to be okay. No bail for people charged with violent crimes. It's part of a proposal to change the state constitution in Tennessee. Some lawmakers say that'll jam up prisons. But at yesterday's hearings, many people testified that the benefit would outweigh the cost.
At the end of the day, there is no shortage of examples that can be pointed to of people being needlessly victimized by defendants who we had every reason to believe would continue to commit crimes if set free.
Now, if it passes the General Assembly, it would then go to voters possibly as soon as this fall. President Trump has a new idea for allowing some people into the country legally. but they would have to pay bigly for
what
it.
He's calling a gold card, a version of a green card that would be sold to foreign investors who want to buy their way towards becoming a U.S. citizen.
We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card.
The U.S. would not be the first country to offer so-called golden visas. Countries in Europe have similar initiative programs.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio. That is the latest news.
Did you use the term bigly in a newscast?
Yeah, I did. Did you like that?
You're proud of that, aren't you? Because you get 2 thumbs up from yours truly,
All
man.
right. Oh, see, now you made my day.
I love
Thanks,
that.
Jen.
Very good. I liked that bigly.
Yeah. All right, so I'll use it again in a future newscast.
Sure.
All right, thanks. That is traffic and weather is coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:33 on WTN. Dan Mandis here. Listen, if you've got a piece of property, maybe some land that you don't know what to do with, think about putting up a pole barn from my friends at Stoltzco. They are the premier pole barn builders in the state of Tennessee. Now, you know that putting up a pole barn from Stoltzco, it could increase the value of your land, but you can use this thing as anything. I mean, it can be a garage, an event space, an equestrian building. You can even live in it. Barn dominiums. That's right. Pole barns from Stoltzco. They are flexible and built really well. You can also plan ahead and build that retirement home. So call them today. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Stoltzco, 615-522-5992, 615-622-5992. That phone number one more time, 615-622-5992. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook or at their website, STOLTZCO, Stoltzco.com.
Got a spot of heavy traffic in Joelton on 24, the eastbound lanes. Not sure if there's an accident involved there, but it is quite slow. A crash this morning, Old Hickory Boulevard at Nolensville Pike, right in front of the Waffle House. Got a crash as well at Church Street and 17th Avenue North. Watch it on 24, the eastbound side at Old Hickory Boulevard, south exit 62. That's a crash site, and 2 right lanes are blocked off there. And West End Avenue near 31st, that is also a crash reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:36, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, Dan Mandis here. It is so amazing to be able to see without glasses, thanks to my friends at Dr. Horn and Vision for Life. Now, I needed corrective surgery to treat my cataracts, and I did my research. I researched all the local ophthalmologists, and one guy kept showing up as Nashville's best, absolute best. Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. Now, they've been doing this for 20 years now, 20 years of helping folks see with 20/20 vision or better. Vision for Life has been helping thousands of people. Positive reviews, you're going to find those all over the internet as well. They've been around for decades. Now, in my situation, Dr. Horn took the time to sit with me, and he answered all my questions and all my concerns, and I did have a lot. Will it hurt? What's the recovery time? Will I need glasses? He spent, I kid you not, friends, 45 minutes with me walking me through the entire process. And by the way, no, it doesn't hurt. The recovery time is really quick. And no, I don't need glasses. Now, 4 weeks later, I am seeing 2020. My only regret is that I didn't do this sooner. So help them celebrate 20 years of providing 2020 vision by scheduling your consultation today at Vision for Life. These folks are amazing. 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. You can always find them online anytime, visionforlife.com. .37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All kinds of drama in Washington, D.C. in the House of Representatives. Congressman Scott DeJarlais is joining us here on WTN. Congressman, I know that it's been some long hours for you. How are you feeling this morning?
Well, I'm glad that we got it done. As you said, there's a little drama, but it seems like that's the order of business these days. So I'm glad that we got it across the finish line.
What time did everything end?
Well, we started with a couple suspension votes, and the budget bill was sandwiched in between. The first suspension was open for over an hour, where they were arguing with a handful of people that apparently hadn't gotten to yes. Normally, we don't go to the floor until we know we have the votes, and so yeah, the Democrats were getting testy and yelling, and then they put the second suspension up, which usually means we failed and they didn't get the right people on board. So we had actually, probably over 2 hours voted on 2 suspensions, and then I was headed back to the office, and we get a notice to come back to the floor. And so somehow I guess they got 2 or 3 or 4 holdouts into the Speaker's office and had the president call them and probably just stressed the importance of team and getting this done. And next thing you know, we're back and we get it passed. There was one Republican who voted no. I'm not even sure. I can guess, but so we end up passing, I think, 217 to 215. And our margin right now, as you know, is 218 to 215 because we have 2 vacant seats in Florida that'll be filled with Republicans probably in April, and we'll be back to 220, 215. But then we'll lose Elise Stefanik, and we'll have to fill her seat. So, we have a razor-thin majority, and we have to play as a team here. In 2017, we went through the same thing. We had a larger margin, but we had 3 big items that we wanted to get done that year, and we only got 1 of the 3 because of people holding out and not sticking together. And so I'm glad that we were able to get that done last night.
Thomas Massie was the lone holdout, they say, for the Republicans.
that would have been my guess. He's a libertarian from Kentucky, nice guy, very similar to Rand Paul, but hard to sway.
Well, there are reports now that one of your fellow congressmen from Tennessee, Tim Burchett, got a call from President Trump. Can you confirm that actually happened? I've got a text out to the congressman, but I'm kind of curious as to what those phone calls are like.
Well, I don't know. I heard the same thing, and Tim is good to put out little videos of himself walking and talking, and he said something about going to the woodshed, and my guess is that President Trump, doesn't mind talking to people if they have real concerns, if they're just seeking attention or want to talk to the president. There's better ways to do that. I'm sure the president isn't impressed when he has to lean on people, depending on the reason. If it's a good reason and they have a legitimate concern, then that's fine. Yeah. I don't know what the situation with Tim Burchett was. I've been talked to and asked, but I know some people were concerned about Medicaid cuts. Some people were concerned about state and local taxes. New York and other states do that, so they don't get to deduct it from their federal. We won't get into all that, but so there was people on that you'd be considered moderate Republicans that had concerns on Medicaid cuts. I don't know what the people on the far right had concerns about because it's a pretty tough bill. The Senate's going to take it now. Of course, they passed their bill. It's going to be. They wanted to do 2 reconciliation bills, which I think is dangerous. I think we can get it all done in one on the first try. That's going to be better in the long run because these things can fall apart in a hurry, as you saw.
Yeah, they sure can. Let's see here. $4.5 trillion in tax cuts survives the House votes. Obviously, that is a victory for Trump. This is just an extension of the 2017 tax cuts?
Exactly. Everybody who's married filing jointly gets a standard deduction of $29,200, and the tax brackets are set. If that were to expire, that's what taxes would increase like 22% on the average person. And so, the Democrats like to say this is just tax cuts for billionaires, but I know it affects me and pretty much everyone I know across the income spectrum. That saves them a lot of money, and we want to pay federal debts through different means. Trump, obviously talks about tariffs and keeping taxes low keeps money in Americans' pockets. And in the meantime, we're working on cutting government waste. And I think you mentioned that we're going to get around to talking about DOGE and Elon Musk at some point as well.
Yeah. So one thing, the resolution fulfilled Donald Trump's directive to act on the debt limit, raising it by $4 trillion next couple of years. And so talk about that, because that is something, obviously, Thomas Massie, Tim Burchett, a lot of folks, you have talked about this as well, where we do have this debt limit and there has been a cap on it. Donald Trump wanted some wiggle room. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. Maybe there's a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
But there are some budget hawks that will look at that and say that that was the wrong thing to do, to raise that debt limit, $4 trillion. Talk about the criticisms that no doubt some people will level against Republicans for doing that.
Well, the government is a very poorly run business, if you want to look at it as a business, and it's run on taxpayer money. But there's an adage in business, and Trump's a developer. You got to have money to make money. And if you don't have the flexibility to implement new ideas, to bring industries back to the United States, to create jobs back here in the United States, and quit relying on foreign entities for pharmaceuticals, auto parts, you name it, then you're going to fail. And to not raise the debt limit, I came here, I was the same way. I think I voted against almost all debt limit increases. But bottom line is, people say, well, do not do any deficit spending, balance the budget. Then the only way to do that now is to cut Social Security, to cut Medicare, to cut defense. And, those are the three big drivers of our debt. And when you talk about that to the general population, if you're getting near retirement, you paid into Social Security all your life, you paid into Medicare all your life, you want those earned benefits, and I understand that. So to make radical cuts to those would be widely unpopular. So you have to have a longer-term strategy. You can't just do it all of a sudden. People think they're doing it all of a sudden with DOGE and the cuts that he's making. But, Elon Musk, I hear, well, he's an unelected bureaucrat. Well, to my knowledge, there's 435 elected people in the House, 100 in the Senate, and, the president, and everyone else is unelected. So you've been dealing all your life with unelected bureaucrats running your life, whether it's in the FBI, DOJ, Department of Education, people making decisions for you. So I don't know why they're so upset about Elon Musk, because, yeah, he's unelected, but so is about everybody else up here that's in the deep state and that runs Washington.
Well,
for what he's doing.
And we could also, Congressman, if I may, talk about the NGOs that have been getting millions and millions of dollars. Congressman, hold on one sec. 7:45. Got to check the roads on Super Talk 99.7.
Midtown Church Street, an accident. 45 out. At the eastern split, 40 eastbound before exit 213A, we've got an accident. Laverne, 24 eastbound at Old Hickory Boulevard South. Watch for an accident blocking the right exit lane. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Weather today, a high of 72 and partly cloudy right now, 42 degrees at WTN. Congressman Scott DeJarlais is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline on Nashville's Morning News. Congressman, let me ask you, as far as Elon Musk and as far as DOGE, need some audio if I could, KGB. There has been a lot of hand-wringing on the left regarding Elon Musk. You just mentioned some of it. And I guess part of my question would be, are you satisfied with what you're seeing so far? There were some reports that there were some Republicans, specifically in the House, that have been frustrated with Elon Musk and how he's been working things through DOGE, and lack of communication, these kinds of things. What are you hearing from your from your co-Congress people?
Yeah, well, I kind of looked at that because there was a couple articles out. Republicans are complaining. One's Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, almost a Democrat. And there's been a couple guys that went to town halls. There was one in Georgia, Dr. McCormick, I think his name is, and the town halls are being infiltrated by, I don't know if you remember Indivisible, Tennessee, but it was started in the Obama era. So you announce a town hall and they get hijacked by these folks that come in. They're almost like paid protesters. And so they're the ones screaming. I pay attention to who's calling the office, and I get updates every day from my staff who's calling and what they're saying. We're not getting a lot of complaints from conservatives and Republicans that make up about 70% of my constituency. Most of them are coming from people that seem like, they're being paid or told to call the office, because not too many people I know who voted for President Trump, which was, 70% of my district, wanted him to make cuts to bureaucracy, to make cuts to the federal budget. And there's a lot of dead wood in the government. There's office space that's unoccupied. There's employees that aren't doing anything. I think it's genius that Elon Musk asked people, if you can't answer a question of 5 things you did last week, you must not be very productive, or you were on vacation, in which case you could say I'm on vacation. I could give you 50 things I did yesterday. And so it's not a big ask to hold people accountable, and I think that's great. And everyone thinks he's just taking a chainsaw to things. So there's a lot of disinformation out there, but vital programs aren't going to be cut. There's a lot of things that probably do need to be cut. And if you're going to raise the debt ceiling, but at the same time you're making $1 trillion in cuts this next year, and you're going to continue to move that forward, I think that's what the people voted for. Get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. If there's 42 million people on food stamps in the United States that you find out 10 or 15 million of those are here illegally, I don't think most people would be cool with that. So, what he's doing is going in there and taking a look. So everything he's looking at isn't going to get cut, but the things that are egregious should go away, and I think most people would agree with that. So, we need to be careful not to cut vital programs, not just take a broad swath, and we need to look closer. But, what he's doing right now is a 30,000-foot level at government waste, fraud, and abuse, and then we're going to fine-tune it. And if he can cut $1 trillion in a year, that's amazing. And so, I'm for what he's doing. I think he's doing a great job. I don't think he has ulterior motives, and it's really, he's running on Trump's promises. We want to make American energy independence a thing again. We want to cut regulations. We want to secure the border. We want to strengthen national defense, an area near and dear to me with the work I've been doing on strategic forces. And so I think we're headed in the right direction, and I think the president is delivering on his promises at warp speed.
Congressman, last question here in our remaining moments. It looks like there is a deal with Zelensky and Ukraine, $500 billion total agreement where the United States and Trump has worked all this out. We're going to get access to some of their minerals and some of their ports and some other resources there in Ukraine. Your thoughts on the American people getting paid back for the investment that we've made into Ukraine?
I think if Trump was accurate, he said we've invested $350 billion in Ukraine, and it was interesting. I read a CNN article the other day that was trashing Trump for what he's doing on Ukraine, siding with Putin, and so on. But in the beginning of his article, he says Trump's just using the fact that we all know this war is not winnable for Ukraine, and then he goes on to berate him. Well, let's start with that. If the war's not winnable, it needs to end somehow. And we've had endless wars in Afghanistan. I think the American in Vietnam, all these things where we spent blood and treasure, and we've got nothing for it. The European nations have given about $100 billion, did it on a loan. So I think what he's doing is right. The war needs to end. If everyone admits that Ukraine can't win the war and drive Russia out, we're going to have some kind of a peace settlement. I don't like what happened there, but our focus now is mainly on China. So I like what he did to NATO, saying, hey, you need to police your own backyard. We need to focus on the Indo-Pacific where, the real action is heating up. And, we can't fight a two-front war with two major adversaries. So, I think Trump's got a good approach there. And, if everybody knew everything that was going on with these peer adversaries, I think that it would get their full attention. So, what he's done in Ukraine, I think will end up being popular in the end. But, anything he does, the media is going to demagogue, and it's just the life we live.
It is. All right, Congressman Scott DeJarlais, always appreciate having you on, and have a great rest of week. It is 7:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. 99.7 WTN Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Want to say hello to Tony with Cabinet Solutions. Tony, you folks are getting ready for Saturday's massive open house. Tony, what's going on?
Well, you got it right. We're getting ready. We're getting a lot of things done. It's this Saturday from 9 to 4 here in Hendersonville. And your listeners can go to our website and get the address and browse around. Click the link to our Facebook page and and get a sneak peek as well.
Now, you folks have cabinets for any style people are looking for and any budget as well, right?
That's right. We've got 15 brands of cabinetry. If they can't find something there, they can't make a decision for anything.
Very good, Tony. I appreciated that open house. Just so folks know, that is going to be this Saturday, March 1st, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. By the way, if you book an appointment in March, folks are going to get 15% off their purchase. Again, the website, Tony, thanks very much. The website is mycabinetsolution.com. That's mycabinetsolution.com. Tony, have a great open house on Saturday. Appreciate you joining us, 7:53. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan.
Yeah, we have more information about some of the VA Tennessee Valley employees losing their jobs and some money that was just found at the VA in contracts that's been canceled. Those stories coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:56. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How are you, friends? Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Like us on Facebook, watch us on YouTube. Reality is you can watch us and stream us pretty much everywhere you watch and stream. So YouTube, we have the Daily Dan poll. You can watch the radio show there. Today's Daily Dan poll, how would you grade Donald Trump's first 5 weeks, A, B, C, or D, and an F? And KGB, we got the poll up earlier. It was about 79% of folks gave Donald Trump an A.
Well, it's now up. It's at 91% A now.
Wow, no kidding.
Yes. Everything else is under 10%. Actually, C went down to like almost 0%, and D and F is at 1%. B is at 9%. So majority have now gone up. I guess the regulars have come in and put in that A for them.
All right, very good. Thank you. 7:57, Nashville's Morning News. Another big victory. We've been talking about this. Another big victory for Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, the U.S. Supreme Court declining to hear that appeal of a lawsuit against our drag show restrictions, which basically is the end of the show, the end of the road for those challenges. Now, remember what this thing does. It restricts drag shows so that they, simply put, will not happen in front of children. Plain and simple. Attorney General Skrmetti was on with Matt Murphy's show. This was yesterday.
The law is very clear. It is the Adult Entertainment Act, and it protects kids from adult-oriented performances.
And so embedded in this law is not some sort of poison pill that will eliminate the ability for grown people to go and watch, topless dancing or cabaret or that sort of thing. None of that is in the law.
Right. It's just about kids.
Right. You did have a lot of accusations, a lot of misinformation that the legislation was trying to ban drag shows. And no, that's not what they were trying to do. There was this organization out of Memphis that brought a lawsuit making all these accusations. But the AG told Matt Murphy, no, it is simply put just about the kids. It's not complicated.
Mrs. Doubtfire has a character in drag through most of the movie. Nobody's saying that's illegal. The law isn't focused on saying if you've got somebody dressed as a woman, that's illegal. That's been happening since Shakespeare's time and before that. What it says is once it becomes sexually explicit, once there's any sort of touching or simulated or real activity or other, what I think most of us would easily understand to be explicit activity, that you can't do that in front of kids.
I mean, look, it seems pretty straightforward, right? According to the AG, great interview by Matt yesterday. No drag shows, no explicit sexual activity in front of kids. It's not that hard. From the Tennessean, opponents of the law, though, argued the law was legally vague and could possibly lead to felony charges against any artistic production featuring male or female impersonators. Not the case.
There's a lot of rhetoric around it, but at the end of the day, it's a very simple standard, very straightforward standard that's been in the law all over the place for a long time. The Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court didn't disturb the judgment, said, what you're worried about is not illegal.
Right. Then he posted on the socials, another big win for Tennessee today. The U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear Friends of George's versus Mulroy. Free speech is a sacred American value, but the First Amendment does not require Tennessee to allow sexually explicit performances in front of kids. He says we will continue to defend Tennessee's law and children. Well done, AG Skrmetti. 8 o'clock on WTN.
Good morning, 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a jam up on 40 eastbound at Mumbrian Street with an accident there at exit 209. Careful. More in traffic and weather right after the news. 11th hour lobbying by President Trump helped to get the House GOP members to pass the budget framework for the president's one big beautiful bill in a nighttime vote.
So somehow I guess they got 2 or 3 or 4 holdouts into the speaker's office and had the president call them and probably just stress the importance of team and getting this done. And next thing you know, we're back and we get it passed.
Tennessee Congressman Scott DeJarlais there talking to Dan Mandis moments ago. Thomas Massey was the lone Republican who voted against the budget's measure. 2 men have been arrested in the shooting of 3 men leaving a hookah bar early on Monday morning. Here's Channel 4's Amanda Hara.
22-year-old Mohammed Al-Rabi and 23-year-old Sadiq Al-Shif are charged with criminal homicide. Detectives say Ahmed Amran was shot and killed while in the driver's seat of a car. 2 other people were in the car with him. Both were taken to the hospital. The shooting happened early Monday morning as Amran and his friends were leaving a hookah bar on Nolensville Pike.
Yeah, and their car crashed into a business on Nolensville Pike, too. Police say Al-Rabi was identified by surveillance footage. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expected to visit Washington, D.C. Friday Monday to sign a deal that was struck over Ukraine's mineral resources.
The administration arguing this would serve as a security guarantee if American companies are invested in the country. Ukraine needs continued American military support while the war rages, but relations with the Trump administration have soured in recent days, and this will be a tough, critical meeting.
ABC's Lama Hassan. Now, President Trump lauded the draft agreement as a very big deal, one he said that would grant Kyiv military equipment and the right to fight on. A handful of VA Tennessee Valley employees are among the 1,400 layoffs announced on Monday. They're probationary staffers like others. Meantime, Secretary of Veterans Affairs Doug Collins says he's canceled $2 billion in contracts for things like note takers and people who create PowerPoint slides.
Folks, if you don't know how to run PowerPoint slides, learn. It's a tutorial on your computer. Go learn for free. It's okay. Take your own notes. Wow, I'll send you one of my pencils if you need one, but we're not paying millions of dollars for consultants to do this for us.
VA Tennessee Valley says the workforce cuts won't affect veteran care. Right now, stock futures look like they're headed upward, but not by much. The Dow futures are gaining 69 points. We've got NASDAQ futures plus 128, and the S&P futures are up 22. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a problem on 40 in the westbound lanes right now at Wilson-Davidson County line. There's a crash in the right lane is blocked off. That's in Mount Juliet, and that's causing quite a bit of a delay. A crash as well in Belmont on 65 northbound at Wedgwood Avenue, exit 81, and also in West End at West End Avenue near 31st. That is a crash as well. And watch it on 8th Avenue South in the Gulch. Make that there's an accident involving some injuries north of Division Street. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, I hate when this happens. 8:06 on Nashville's Morning News. I got 5 things going on. So, Tim Burchett, Congressman, has called my cell phone.
Oh, did he?
Because I asked him to call in at 8:06 because I want to know how his conversation went.
Yeah. The one with President Trump over the budget deal.
Right. Now, of course, my feeble brain is unable to remember what our hotline number is. So I don't know how to do this because I need to text him. Well, can you just call? Do you have Tim Burchett's number? KGB?
I think I do. Let me check.
And while all of this is going on, poor EJ Host is on hold because we're going to talk. EJ, you are a radio professional. So
he double booked you, EJ.
No, I didn't double book. Breaking news happens, and EJ of anybody. By the way, a nice shanking of my name during the newscast.
Oh,
Joan.
You heard that, huh?
Oh, I sure did.
I thought you'd be really happy I used your audio.
Yeah, but you shanked my name, and that is the most important part. Anyway,
move on, Don.
So we're trying to get Tim Burchett on, Congressman Tim Burchett, because he and I were going back and forth, and he has had a, quote, lengthy conversation with Donald Trump. I don't want to take a lot of time with the congressman because, I mean, he's very busy and is always so great with us, and he's clearly very busy. So, all right, so Congressman Tim Burchett, so I know that you're really busy, and I really appreciate it. So, but you were name-checked in a whole bunch of different articles about how President Trump called you, and it sounds like he twisted your arm to get you to vote for the big, beautiful budget deal. Talk to me about what happened.
Well, he didn't do any arm twisting, actually. You know, the first thing he said to me was, well, he calls me Tim, which is cool. And we talked, gosh, it must have been almost 20 minutes. There's actually a picture of me. I had to go vote, and he said, well, let's just keep talking. And we talked. And anyway, he said, let's see, I was concerned about the spending, of course, and where we were headed. And in reality, you know, a lot of the misgivings is misinformation. And all this really is a framework. It doesn't say he's got to do it. It just, and that's where the Democrats and the liberals and the media are playing us on the Medicaid and Medicare cuts. They're not cuts in those. They're cuts in the departments that oversee those. And what will happen, like under Reagan, when he said it takes $1 to cost the taxpayers $1 to distribute $1. So you're out $2, right? So he just cut the delivery service, and in effect saved the taxpayers half the money, but was able to send all the money to the people that needed the services. And so the liberals say, oh, he cut the department in half. Well, I guess reality, maybe he did, but the reality is all he did was cut the delivery service, and that's what we're seeing. And in part of that delivery is waste, abuse, and fraud. And we're going to find that in there, I guarantee you. Just like if we're going to have ghost recipients of these funds, so you're going to see some of it going overseas. Yep. You're possibly going to see it going to terrorist organizations, and we've got enough intel on that is a reality. And so those are the kind of things I was concerned about. I was concerned about cuts. I wanted to see cuts at the Pentagon. I want to see a dismantling of the Department of Education, and that money sent to the states and allow them to be responsible with it, which is what Tennesseans want overwhelmingly because we can pay our teachers more. And those are the things that we talked about. And, you know, like I said, the first thing out of his mouth was, Tim, I love Tennessee. And I said, I know, Mr. President, they love you. But and we just had a really, really good conversation. And there's actually a picture of me. I was actually with the speaker at the time that he called. And I'm walking in because I you know, what are you going to do? Tell the president, hey, I got to go? No, you continue on the conversation. Yeah. I'm just a kid from West Hills, and you know, and talking to the most powerful man in the world is it's a great privilege that the people of Tennessee give me. So it was a lot of conversation, but reality is he's never lied to me. Some of these cats up here have lied to me. I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw the dome off the Capitol, but Trump's never lied to me. Everything he said was truthful, and look, and I can vote against any of the spending or vote for the spending, and this just allowed the framework to go forward. It's part of the bureaucracy, and the Republicans and the conservatives are terrible at messaging. We've allowed the left to say this is going to cut Medicaid and Medicare. It doesn't even mention those departments. It doesn't even mention them in this thing, but yet that's what everybody says, and they're scaring old people and they're scaring poor folks, and that's wrong. And deserve to be slapped back, and we're going to be doing that.
When you, Congressman, when you speak to Donald Trump, I'm epically curious about this. How nuts and bolts? How much nuts and bolts does he know? Like, can he talk about the nuts and bolts of it, or is he more of a big picture guy?
It's amazing to me, just the specificity. That's a big word for a kid from East Tennessee to use, but it's amazing to me just how detail oriented he knows everything. But he is a big picture guy. We were talking about other ways. We started talking about the border and some programs they're going into, and he knew and he said we talked because he called me out specifically during the press conference where they said that that they weren't going to let men in women's sports, and he called me out during that because I'd had that little run-in with Jim Acosta on CNN, and he apparently wasn't a big fan of Jim Acosta since he had him kicked out of the press pool at the White House. But
yes,
he called me out during that, and he I don't know if the guy ever sleeps. I get up at 4:30 every morning, and I'm thinking, here's this old guy in the White House who's probably been up 2 hours before then. So, it's incredible, really. Like I said, I don't want him teaching my daughter's Sunday school class down at the Baptist church, but I like him sitting in the White House.
All right, Congressman, I promised you that I'd keep it short. You're so good with your time. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, brother, last time I was on here, my girl Bobby Petray, I said something nice about her, and she wasn't listening, so I hope she's listening this morning, because if she's not, I'm never going to say anything nice about her again. Thank you, brother.
All right, talk to you later. Thank you very much. Here's what we know about Bobby Petray. Bobby Petray is an early morning listener. Like every time I say or do something or I shank something, she texts me on my private line, that's private. Nobody wants my phone number, but my cell phone. She'll give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So thank you, Bobby. I very much appreciate all you do for conservatism here in the state of Tennessee. Do you know what I wonder, Joan? And EJ, I'm coming to you after traffic. Joan, do you know what I wonder?
What's that?
So when you have I'm gonna sort of air quote this. When you have a lengthy conversation with Donald Trump of like 20 minutes, how do you get through the weave?
Yeah.
Do you know what what I mean when he because he weaves and it drives me crazy. I mean, I love the man, but he drives me crazy. And but I mean, a lengthy conversation with Donald Trump would be like 4 hours to me.
Yeah.
Because he does what he does. And
he pulls in this thread from here and this thread from here, and he starts weaving.
Yes, that's exactly. And he's very proud of the weave.
Well, sometimes, and this happens to me, I'll start the weave and forget how to get back. What was I talking about initially?
You know what?
And I don't find that President Trump does that. And the man is so much old, almost 20 years older than me.
Well, so basically what will happen with Trump, because I edit together audio, I listen to a lot of it, it's interviews and so forth, is they'll start at point A, and then he'll not finish point A. He's on to point B, point C, and maybe he'll go back and bring it all the way back around, and maybe he won't. However, this kind of presentation has always worked for Donald Trump, and we love him. So there you go. 8:15, Nashville's Morning News. By the way, I just said that I love Donald Trump. Make sure that a tape of that gets to Caroline Leavitt, because they were talking about local talk show hosts and how she's going to start working on local talk show hosts, getting interviews with Donald Trump.
They actually did that. Was that Monday or maybe Friday of last week? They had the local, the DC-based people come to the White House, and they had they did sort of a roundabout where they just each person would get up and talk to the next host.
Yep.
Really cool. Like that kind of affording that access to reporters is amazing.
You know what? When are they going to get down to like Tennessee? That's what I want to know. When are you going to get back down to Nashville? All right, got to go. 8:16, time to check the roads on WTN. (8:16), 48 degrees. EJ Host, I apologize for keeping you on hold all that time. I'm sure that was entertaining for you. How are you?
I'm terrific. Listen, anytime Congressman Tim Burchett wants to take the first few minutes of the hour, you got to give it to him. He's pretty cool. He's a very cool guy. And I got the opportunity to interview him once before, and he's always full of just an incredible wealth of information. He gives you just straight, transparent talk, which is hard to find in D.C. So I appreciate the heck out of that guy.
Boy, it sure is. All right, so let's fit it a lot into a little bit of time. So big, beautiful budget was passed last night. The sticking point, of course, for a lot of conservatives, they also had to raise the debt limit. That was probably one of the sticking points with Congressman Burchett. They worked it all out. I asked Congressman Scott DeJarlais about that earlier, and basically they needed some wiggle room. This is going to be something that is going to be a point of contention with Republicans. What say you? We still get the tax cuts, of $4.5 billion in tax cuts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't love it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the whole point in getting this administration is to cut our spending, not up our debt limit. However, I also understand that we have obligations, and paying bills is kind of an important thing. And so we've got these obligations. Just because Trump took office January 20th doesn't mean that he can reverse everything that's been done for, years and years prior to that, and the obligations that we've made as a nation. So I kind of understand where he's coming from on that. And I also said we have got to give this man a few months to do what he wants, to institute his policies. Now, if after, this thing has been in place for a while and we don't like it, I'll be the first one to scream, all right, that was a mistake. How are you going to fix it? But for right now, I think it's important to give him the tools that he needs to be able to do the things that we really want, which is the tax cuts, stopping money to Ukraine, making the deals all over the world to make America better, safer, stronger, more economically sound, et cetera.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. I think that was a TV show. EJ, so I just saw on TV, Facts of Life, for you folks that don't know. The TV, we got it on CNN, and they're saying the Trump administration has now told agencies to prepare for massive cuts. Now, that goes with what you're saying. I mean, if we can get that $500 billion deal out of Ukraine, and we can obviously extend those tax cuts, if we can cut the waste, fraud, and abuse out of DOGE, moving forward, of course, we have that as well. Then, and we make the cuts that we need there within the federal government, then it brings in all kinds of revenue, and then it all kinds of evens out. If not, brings us forward towards, I mean, this is kind of a joke, but balancing the budget.
Right. And think about all the announcements that have been made over the last, month or so about the investments that are coming to the United States, right? Billions of dollars now that is being invested in the United States. It just doesn't happen overnight. So we have to, I know we're all real excited, and we're these first 100 days, we want everything to be fixed, and, we're pretty hyped up about it still, but sometimes these things take a little bit of time. He's doing more than we ever wanted or thought that could be accomplished. And so giving a little bit of leeway here and understanding that some things take time. We don't just influx this money because somebody made an announcement yesterday. It doesn't just arrive the next Monday, right? Like, these things have to be put into place. And again, if these investments don't pan out, if we don't get the Ukrainian minerals and all of those kind of things, then we'll have something to complain about. But right now, we've got to just let the man do his job, do what he promised he would do, and really just quit the criticisms over the little things. Let the big stuff happen first.
You're absolutely right. They are criticizing the little things, and it is driving me nuts. EJ, I've got probably about 2 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you about the sex chat room story from yesterday.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, were you surprised? I don't know if I was surprised. I was horrified. But under the Biden administration, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, honestly. I bet it's not the only chat room they'll find.
Yeah, that's my thing. My thing is, and I said this yesterday with USAID, we keep seeing all of these horrific examples of stupid spending. I'm wondering if this is, really the first opening salvo in finding horrifying personnel issues.
Yeah, tons. And actually, I think that email, that went over the weekend, everybody was freaking out about, oh, how dare they ask me what I do for a living, right? Like that a freak out by everybody in the federal workforce. I think actually they're trying to weed out what's real, what isn't.
Yep.
Are there real positions that are held by people who aren't actually working, or maybe it's an old email, they had to clean up the email list, things like that. This cleanup process is going to take a while, and we're going to hear about all the crazy stories like the chat rooms and things like that. We're going to hear about the people who, were out drinking margaritas, on their lunch break, so to speak, when they should have been working remotely. Like, we're going to hear about a lot of those things, and those are going to be the egregious ones. There's going to be some real simple things too, where like an entire department doesn't exist.
Right.
But
it's common.
Paying for the emails, paying for the website, paying for that. We're going to find some of those things too.
All right, EJ, how can folks find you on X?
Yep, you can find me at EJ under the radar.
All right, EJ, thank you for your flexibility and your understanding. Have a great day. By the way, there was an update on that whole sex chat room story, and we've got that for you coming up right before the news here on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They are keeping you warm this winter with some great deals for listeners to Nashville's Morning News. Get a free air duct cleaning when you buy a new complete whole home AC. What about a free air duct cleaning package upgrade? You buy the middle package, you are automatically upgraded to the deluxe. That is huge. And also don't forget to become a Beehive member like I am. Now, I've been a Beehive member for years, and what you're doing is you're saving money in the long run through maintenance. So many ways to save with my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They are busy, always trying to save you money. Call them, tell them Dan Mandis showed you to reach out. A great company with their more than satisfied promise. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. BusyBeeHVAC.com. 823 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones is here with the news at 8:30. Joan, what's coming up?
Tennessee's ban on drag shows is here to stay. Also, Fort Bragg about to get its name back. Those stories coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
eastbound, a crash at the Wilson-Davidson County line in the right lane. I'm Christy O'Brien.
827, Dan Mandis here. Listen, friends, we are all getting older. So many of us simply are not where we want to be. You know, we can eat right, we can exercise, but the reality is that sometimes we need a little help. And my friends at Contours in Cool Springs, they are here to help you. They can help both men and women lose body fat and so much more. Now, we all know that spring and then summer is coming. They can help you get bathing suit ready with their ultra slim body contouring. It guarantees that you're going to lose 2 inches, or that first treatment is absolutely free. It's non-invasive, doesn't hurt, and the results are instant. I have gone through the process. It worked for me. It'll work for you. They also do facials as well that are revitalizing, and their red light therapy will tighten your skin and restore that natural glow. So check them out online, contoursllc.com. ContoursLLC.com. Let me spell it for you. CONTOURS LLC, contours.com. And by the way, you want to check them out. Mention my name when you call 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960, ContoursLLC.com. $8:29, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're talking big topic of conversation yesterday. I covered the update a little bit in the 5, but Tulsi Gabbard is on the case. We told you about those really bizarre chat lines, the sex chat lines there within the intelligence agencies. Tulsi Gabbard comes in, and she told that Jesse Waters yesterday they have found the culprits, or at least some of them.
Well, Jesse, what we're going to do has already been done. There are over 100 people from across the intelligence community that contributed to and participated in this, what is really just an egregious violation of trust, what to speak of like basic rules and standards around professionalism. I put out a directive today that they all will be terminated and their security clearances will be revoked. But the thing here, Jesse, is we got to take a step back because this is just barely scratching the surface. When you see what these people were saying, and thanks to Chris Rufo for putting it all out online, they were brazen in using an NSA platform intended for professional use to conduct this kind of really horrific behavior. And they were brazen in doing this because when was the last time anyone was really held accountable? Certainly not over the last 4 years, certainly not over the last 10, maybe 20 years. When we look at some of the biggest violations of the American people's trust in the intelligence community. So today's action in holding these individuals accountable is just the beginning of what we're seeing across the Trump administration, which is carrying out the mandate the American people gave him.
Love it. Tulsi Gabbard, 8:30, Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning. It's 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got traffic and weather still to come here. Stick around. When President Trump convenes his first cabinet meeting this morning, guess who's coming along with him?
This morning, as Elon Musk faces new questions about his efforts to shrink the size of the government, he's preparing to attend the first meeting of President Trump's cabinet. Musk's DOGE group has released a new list of savings, claiming to have terminated nearly 2,300 federal contracts across federal departments and agencies.
The meeting will take place amid DOGE's effort to implement mass federal workforce cuts. Appeal denied. The U.S. Supreme Court saying it will not take up a lawsuit over Tennessee's drag show ban. Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti.
The law isn't focused on saying if you've got somebody dressed as a woman, that's illegal. That's been happening since Shakespeare's time and before that. What it says is once it becomes sexually explicit, once there's any sort of touching or simulated or real activity or other, what I think most of us would easily understand to be explicit activity, that you can't do that in front of kids.
Yeah, Governor Bill Lee and other Tennessee Republicans arguing that the public performances were harmful to kids. Fort Bragg getting its name back. Next week, the military will restore the North Carolina base's name, which was changed by President Biden to Fort Liberty. But this time, it's not a Confederate general, but a World War II hero that this will be named after.
This time, the North Carolina military installation will be named in honor of Private First Class Ronald Bragg, who earned a Purple Heart and Silver Star during World War II. Dr. Salvatore Mercogliano, Campbell University Department of History.
I think Bragg was selected, obviously, for his name.
PFC Bragg's daughter, Deborah Sokol, is 72 years old and lives in Maine.
He'd be humble, but he'd be surprised. And he'd be very pleased.
Sokol says her father trained at Fort Bragg before heading overseas. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Stocks are starting out on a mixed bag here. It's the Dow Jones Industrials down 37, but the Nasdaq is up 68, and the S&P 500 index up 12 points in early trading. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next time, Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:33 Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here. DT McCall's. Listen, if you need a gun safe, but you've been putting it off, now is your time with DT McCall's. Now, they are sales tax free right now at DT McCall's. They are the largest Liberty Safe dealer in the state of Tennessee. They do offer free delivery and free setup. Other places going to charge you $500 at least for delivery and setup in bigger models and $300 for smaller models. DT McCall & Sons deliver every safe for free every time, period, and no setup charge. So save some big bucks right now on that Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Find them online, dtmccalls.com. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com.
All right, we have some delays this morning on 24 heading inbound, starting at about Sam Ridley Parkway all the way up to Nashville. Delays this morning as well in Hillsborough. Make that in Green Hills on Hillsborough Pike at Tyne Boulevard. That's a crash involving injuries there. And 8th Street South, north of Division Street, a crash involving injuries. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 8:35 Nashville's Morning News on WTN. It is still February, the month of Valentine's, and nothing says love like gunpowder and lead, like what you find at the Glock store. Now, listen, next couple of days, right? We're in the 26th, so next couple of days, that offer is still good. You call them up, you book the 2-for-1 special. When you mention my name, you can go online, shoot270.com, and you can book a couples training session in their Shoot 270 indoor shooting rooms. You and your significant other, they're going to up your game. You can book that couple shooting session, shoot270.com. When you mention my name, when you show up, you do. You both get trained for the price of one. It's 2-for-1. Remember, this is a private shooting room with a personal instructor, a professional that is going to tailor the session to your current level of shooting expertise. And whatever level you're at, they are going to up your game like they did for me. Now, remember to book that 2-for-1 Valentine's Day late at the Glock store. Book it at shoot270.com. Mention my name, Dan Mandis. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. .838 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. Welcome on in to the Crisscross. And I'm Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And I'm laughing at Jeff. He that poor man.
He's had to go to the bathroom for forever.
He has had to go to the
bathroom. He told you about it too, Joan?
Oh, yeah. He's telling everybody about it.
He's doing the bathroom pee-pee dance that like 10-year-olds do.
Yep.
And
you don't get to see the whole picture of him like I do back here.
Oh, because you're looking at him from behind.
And I see crossed legs and tapping. And, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we've had such a busy show that he hasn't been able to go. And so I made my commercials really short for a change, and I allowed him to move some stuff around so he could just run to the bathroom.
And he did.
What a gracious host.
You know what? This is what I do for my people. Right?
You look out
I
for
allow
everybody.
them to go to the bathroom.
You look out for people.
Hey, by the way, the talking about the whole drag show thing there, Joan.
Yeah.
I've heard from the drag queens, and they say that the whole thing is a drag.
I think that was a laugh point, right?
Yes.
This is when you should be holding up the applause sign so that we applaud you.
Whatever. I got
liked it. I
got
liked
a guffaw from.
What was the drag
what's your
queen
name?
story? Well, there's so many drag queen stories these days.
So Tennessee's drag queen show ban was, being challenged up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, no, thanks. We won't take that up. Tennessee can have all the ban that they want.
Well, and
all that male mascara is running.
Cry more.
I liked my it's a drag joke better. But,
I liked it.
But it's not a ban. It's not a ban on drag shows.
Right.
You can't do it when kids are around. I mean, I don't know why this is controversial.
Why is it that these drag queens always want to perform in front of kids?
Yeah.
Like they always want to read in front of kids. I've never seen a situation where a drag queen wants to go read to the elderly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you never see that.
Can you imagine the heart attacks they would cause if they walked into the old age home?
You never I don't know. Why do you want to be around the kids so much?
You're absolutely right.
They never go to like a pet adoption clinic to take the dogs for walks or anything like that.
Have you noticed Chris?
I have found some leakers. We are continuing.
That's the wrong one. Doggone it. Stand by. Hey, Chris, have you found?
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off.
That's it. All
You have to turn your microphone on.
All decorum.
Usually Jeff does that. He's in the bathroom.
Jeff does it. All decorum seems to be gone from Washington, D.C. Now, for me, because there's some pearl clutching going on.
I heard you.
You heard me. So, number one, I don't really expect a whole heck of a lot from Jasmine Crockett. That's number one. But number two, Trump does a fair amount of cursing as well. But the difference is that Trump, at least I don't think he has ever told anyone to blank off.
No, and I made a comment with Jasmine Crockett the other day when she was going against the DOGE checks. She's like, $5,000 is nothing. And, it's like, well, you're worth $9 million, so it's nothing to you. But I've never heard Trump talk down to people with his money either.
No.
Yes.
But I like
How is
Jasmine.
she worth $9 million?
Yeah, good question.
Inquiring minds. We'll have to find out. But I like her. I like her a lot.
What did I say? What did I say the other day?
I had a conversation with Kennedy last night because I was watching Fox News, and then that came on, and she goes, wow, that's awful. I was like, I'm a big fan. She said, what? Let her be the face of the Democrats.
Exactly. Now, one of the things that I have said is that if she had a brain, she would be lethal.
If I only had a brain.
But she doesn't. So you and I are in agreement. If she wants to be the face, and the crazy thing is, the Democrats are making her the face. Do you know what the problem is? The astounding thing is that for the Democrats, they're not, it would appear anyway that they're not giving her any kind of media training at all, and they just want her to go full Crockett.
You never go full Crockett.
You never go full Crockett, but apparently they're going to let her go full Crockett.
I feel like if Nancy Pelosi was still there, she'd have her whipped right into shape.
Yeah, what's up with Nancy? Is she just she's drinking right at 7 a.m. these days? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
She's got to be. She's gone. I mean, her brain is gone.
She probably gets her little cups of ice cream out of the freezer, the really expensive ice cream.
Right.
Right around dinner time.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard from Nancy in a while.
No, we haven't. Okay, so a few things that we gotta clean up. Will the Eagles be coming to the White House after winning the Super Bowl?
We cleaned that up yesterday.
So,
will they?
Well, now Donald Trump says
Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Are they being extended an invitation?
They will be. We haven't yet, but we will be. I thought it was a great performance by them. And absolutely, they'll be extended that invitation. Would you do that right away, by the way? Sir. We'll do it right away. We're going to do it sometime today. And they deserve to be down here, and we hope to see them.
So there you go.
I don't often disagree with Donald Trump, but deserve to be down there? Come on.
What are you talking about?
It's just a bunch of bums.
They won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Every Super Bowl winning team gets to go to the White House.
Dude, it was a lousy Super Bowl.
She's gonna go full Philly Joan if you don't knock it off.
I know.
Do you remember when I forget what team it was, and he had the hamburgers?
Yeah, it was. Wasn't it a college team?
Was it?
He had a big spread of Mickey D's.
Oh, of course he did.
I think he had Pizza Hut in there.
Yep.
He had the whole nine.
Hey, do you guys have Apple? Who's got an Apple phone?
I do.
Okay, so did you hear the latest controversy with Apple?
No, and I heard the controversy and I tried to replicate it, but all I ended up doing was voice texting racist to my wife.
Oh, come on. Now you got to tell us what it is.
So the New York Times actually confirmed this. While using Apple's automatic dictation feature to send messages on Tuesday, some iPhone users reported seeing a peculiar bug, the word racist temporarily appearing as Trump before quickly correcting itself. The New York Times actually confirmed this is happening. This isn't some, social media, TikTok, Instagram thing.
Wait.
This is actually happening.
What is it doing again? How do you?
So when you speak, when you do talk to text, right? So when you speak it and then it dictates it out and puts the words there.
Yeah.
If you say the word racist, you'll get the squirrely blue line, the circle spinning like it's thinking.
Yeah.
And then it'll show Trump for a split second, and then it'll change it to racist.
Okay, I'm going to do it right now.
Well, I think I see because I tried it.
Yeah.
And it didn't work for me. I never use that feature.
I don't either.
Racist.
So
Racist.
Let's see if it works for Joan.
Let's find out.
Nope. Didn't work for KGB either.
No.
Yeah.
So, but
What didn't work?
The whole racist Trump.
I tried
Apple
that.
iPhone thing. We all tried it.
All I got was a message to the wife: racist. So what is this?
And she's like, Chris is at it again.
Do you know, I hate that feature because you can very easily accidentally text a conversation that you didn't want exposed.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not paying attention.
I once no, well, that's the problem.
Your phone quickly becomes Dan Crenshaw on a hot mic.
We'll talk about that. I once accidentally sent a toilet flush to my daughter.
Oh.
Yep, sure did. And I don't know.
Sure,
and
she
the dumb thing is, it was like, okay, I actually, because it comes up and then you have to hit send. And it's just some reason I hit send.
Well, with touchscreens, that it can happen so easily.
Yeah.
It's not like it's.
She's like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do you need to see someone?
You got to love the Dan Crenshaw thing. I mean, so if you're
It's so
unfamiliar with the story, we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, Eye Patch McCain.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a latest on this. I think for me, the overarching story with Eye Patch McCain is that he has turned into the fall of Dan Crenshaw is stunning. And I don't know, like, what happened? Because he used to be pretty good.
No, he used to be buttoned up, delivering a character to the American people. Like I think that the guy that we're seeing now is the guy that he's always been. It's just the facade has deteriorated.
But there should be a documentary of like the rise and fall of Crenshaw because he rose pretty high, and now he's like.
Well, because he positioned himself as a badass American warfighter with an eye patch, and like Americans love that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then
he went after them.
And then he turned himself into a clown and a war hawk.
All right, so you do your story because it's really funny.
Okay, so I got a story here. How do you guys feel about tipping at restaurants?
Fair.
I'm a heavy tipper.
I tipped pretty well, last night.
As long as it's somebody who's actually bringing something to my table, I don't tip Starbucks. Like,
that's fair.
Really.
I got you. Well, there's a story that's pretty wild. There's a wife and a husband out for dinner, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the waitress had the audacity to call the husband sweetheart. So the wife left 2 cents for the tip.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
And then said, don't call my husband sweetheart. My 2 cents.
What kind of...
That's so common.
What
Hang on.
What kind of restaurant was it?
I don't know.
Hold on. Joan might have a...
Come on now. You don't go around calling somebody else's husband sweetheart.
In the South, you do.
Yeah, that's why I was like, is this like a Southern like fried chicken kind of restaurant? Like,
where was this? You know
a
what?
Diner?
Maybe where it happened.
Yeah.
It doesn't say the restaurant. She's a TikToker.
Morton Steakhouse.
So if it's okay, so
there's Mortons everywhere, so we don't know.
It was a
that's
40.
like a fancy place.
It was a $40 bill. It was a $40 bill.
So if it's in the South, I just want to make sure we got our parameters right because Philly Jones going Philly Joan. So if it's in the South, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's in the North, it's not. So like if you cross the Mason-Dixon line.
I feel like there has to be an age limit on it. You know what I mean?
That's another thing. Older women can say it.
They
Younger
get a
women
pass.
cannot.
They get a pass.
Yeah.
So what's the age? What's it, like 50 and up, or is it like
Depends
high?
on how you look. I
This
mean,
is
somebody
true.
at 50 could look like 80.
This is true. This is true.
And I like sometimes like especially if it's like a it could be like a Southern place, like we were talking about like a diner or Cracker Barrel. If they call me sweetheart, it kind of like it's kind of endearing in a sense. It's like you're
Or hun.
Yeah.
Is hun Joan, is hun okay?
I got your hun right here, buddy.
So
just throw a cheesesteak at him,
note
why
to
don't you?
self, man, never go to eat with Joan.
Yeah.
Although she wouldn't care if a waitress called me hun.
Yeah. The waitress just goes, "How are you today?" That's to her husband. She's like, "Excuse me."
What did you just say?
He's fine. We're going to order now.
Don't look at him. I'll place the order.
There's knives on the table. Watch out. Don't say hun or sweetheart or anything to Joan's husband.
He's
Good Lord,
fine.
man.
Thank you.
I'll speak for him.
Can I get you a refill? What?
Well, so what are people saying on the socials? I mean, are they...
Oh, people are lambasting her as just a psycho. Just an absolute psycho.
So what you're saying is Philly Joan is psycho.
I'm a psycho. Okay.
I want to make sure that everybody
you.
knows what just happened.
She's defensive of her man.
She's our psycho.
Yeah.
It's like Peter Ducey is, what was he? To Biden?
Oh, what was it? When Joe Biden called Peter Ducey.
An SOB.
An SOB. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
he's our
right.
SOB.
Yep.
But
I'm
he's
your
our
psycho.
SOB.
We love it. If we need air let out of tires, Joan's always there
I'm
for
there.
us.
I got it.
All right, so next time my car is keyed or my tires are slashed, Philly Joan, I'm coming after you.
Top suspect every time.
Top suspect every time.
Might
Because
not be
you
me,
called
just
her
somebody
husband.
I know.
Just don't call her husband honey. That's all you got to do.
Refrain from calling Philly Joan's husband sweetheart, and everything's going to be fine.
Can I
Oh, Sean, accept it.
accidentally text him a toilet flush?
that you
what I
could
wanna-
do, yeah.
That's allowed.
Yeah.
Joan, if I meet him,
He'd
I
text you
got to
on
call him
back.
honey.
Well, I mean, you have to now call him honey
Yeah,
when
like
you
when,
see him.
is he coming to the event
He
on the
is,
4th?
yeah.
Oh, so I got to if I see him, I'm going to go, "Honey."
I'm gonna put Virginia up to it.
Oh.
You got honey. You got sweet. What else do waitresses call you? Like,
Babe.
Doll.
Babe.
Not
Toots.
babe. Babe's a little much.
Toots feels like the 50s, but I
Doll.
feel like I've
in
seen it.
diners in Jersey, it's doll.
Hun and sweetie
Can
are
I
like
get
the
you
two.
coffee, doll?
I've been called sweetheart many times by waitresses.
Yeah, like honey,
Yeah.
sweetheart,
Happens
sweetie.
a lot down here, though.
Babe is a little far though. That's a little too far.
Is babe a little too
Babe
far?
is like that's you got to be in a
Oh, yeah.
relationship to say babe.
Okay.
I think
Now-
you can get away with it if you're an older lady.
Now,
You got to have that southern vibe.
You have to have the vibe.
You got to have the southern vibe. Like if I'm at a restaurant and the waitress calls me sweetheart or babe or whatever, it also depends on how they say it, right?
Ooh,
True.
This is true.
Because if they say, "Hey, babe, what can I get you?"
Oh, yeah.
Then yeah, I think that would be if
That's crossing a line for you.
that is crossing a line. So it depends on how. Hey, babe, what can I get you?
I feel like you just said it the same way twice.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I feel like you did.
Joan,
Maybe
ruling?
if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you can notice the subtle differences, the little glimmer in his eye the first time he said it.
There was a clear. The first one was like if a waitress comes up and she says, "Hey, babe, how are you?" That's different than, "Hey, babe, how are you? What can I get you?" That is two completely different ways of saying
We
something.
forgot about two big ones, sugar and darling.
Ooh, sugar and darling.
Yeah.
Those are
Those-
fighting
those-
words.
Really?
I'm just
I was saying, like, if they had the southern draw in sugar and darling, that's totally okay.
I've been darling a lot.
Yeah, darling is probably the most common one.
Here in the South?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't hear shug much in the South.
No.
No.
But if your name is,
where are you going with this?
Are you,
you know,
are you
yeah.
trying to make a Suge Knight joke? Is that where you're going?
I was, and I better not.
Just you weren't right there.
Did you see Suge Knight's doing like interviews from prison?
Yeah.
And he's like Obama was at all the Diddy parties.
Is he really?
Oprah Winfrey was on the island.
Yeah.
Well,
How is he allowed to do that?
So I don't know, but I heard the interview and I thought to myself, it's a weird time in America when I actually trust Suge Knight more than I trust the FBI
You know
and the
what?
CIA and the NSA. I'm actually going to side with Suge on this one.
That is absolute truth, as a matter of fact. All right. March 4th. Can we talk about March 4th?
Let's talk about March 4th.
Please come.
Please come and call my husband doll.
Yes.
Oh, my God. That's what we need to do. Every female in the place has to call Joan's husband sugar, doll, sweetheart,
babe.
Not just
hun.
girls, guys too.
Babe.
Guys can do it too.
You
Bring
know,
everybody.
You know, if
Bring
we,
the whole family.
If we had a band there, we could actually have them sing the song "Babe."
Babe, yeah.
To Joan's husband John.
I love it.
Yeah,
This
we
one,
could do that.
this one goes out to you, John.
March 4th.
Well, you know what? The guy cutting Murphy's hair is a singing barber.
Oh, is he?
Oh,
Maybe
really?
he can sing to Joan's husband while he cuts Murphy's hair.
I think Matt would probably, with scissors and
I want
clippers,
a
probably
crack
wants
in
him
his hair.
to, focus on the.
I want to crack at his hair.
I think there's going to be singing.
I think that's going to be interesting. We'll have to see what happens, how that goes. I don't know. Anyway, please come. Because I want to stop talking about this. It's like this all day. I have to promote this thing.
The sooner it sells out, the sooner we can stop mentioning
Exactly
it.
right. Join me, Chad, Chris, Matt, Brian Wilson now at the Nashville Palace, March 4th. It's going to be a big celebration of Trump's first, 4 or 5
We get to hang out.
weeks in office.
The gang's getting back together. We haven't hung out since the election.
That's
Jeez.
exactly right. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's been too long.
Come on out. We'll hang out, and we'll let you know when it sells out because we'll stop talking about it. 8:55 on that. I think I'm going to get in trouble over that last few minutes.
If you want us to stop talking about it, 997WTN.com for tickets.
All right. Dan Matt is here. Guys, listen, if you're feeling tired, motivation just isn't there, maybe some weight gain and muscle loss. Now, these could all be signs of low testosterone, and it is time that you found out for sure with my friends at Low T Center. Now, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It is a simple test, and with their online lab, you're going to get your results back immediately. Now, this isn't your typical doctor's office. They simply specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy for each individual patient. And by the way, for current patients, Low T Center offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.